What's up, everybody? Jack Farr here on behalf of Box to Box Football. I'm here with James, and we are in the midst of a transfer window. And obviously, with the transfer window, James, comes transfer sagas. Some come out of nowhere and just happen very quickly from teams who know what they're doing. And some drag on, and there's tweets, and there's reports, and there's rumors, and who knows what's going to happen. And I'm talking about, I want to just kind of open this up broadly. We can take this wherever we want, mate. Kalvin Phillips. A lot of money, a lot of money, £45 million. The English tax, I think, probably played a big part there. Leeds United to Manchester City for Kalvin Phillips. Manchester United supposedly close to reaching an agreement for Frenkie de Jong for closer to €80 million, which was the requirement that Barcelona had originally. I want your initial opinion on the Kalvin Phillips deal. Is that a Pep Guardiola player to you?
I like what I see in Kalvin Phillip. Is he a Pep Guardiola guy? No. To me, like when I look at him overall, he isn't. He's more of an all-action midfielder, and he's not really what Pep Guardiola sees in the midfield. You look at the players that he's had. Obviously, I'm looking at defensively, Jack. I'm looking at Sergio Busquets. You know, Arturo Vidal. Like, to be fair, he did have Vidal there, but the main guy there for him was Xabi Alonso. At Bayern Munich and obviously at Manchester City. Fernandinho's been great for him, but Rodri recently has just been like another version of Sergio. But my thing with the Kalvin Phillips deal is that it's a lot of money, but when I really look at it, Jack, it does make sense. You know, the fact that they've lost Fernandinho, you know, the bit light in the middle from the fact that that Fernandinho is out the way. Man City do have this weird obsession of English players right now, especially buying them for big for like big fees. And I look at Kalvin Phillips and I look at the profile, I look at the style of play. He did come off of a Bielsa system there, where it's not Jack. He wasn't playing for Tony Pulis or whatever. It came off of a Bielsa system. We know how fond Guardiola was of like Bielsa, so by Phillips coming in, he would understand like what he's coming into there. Do I think he comes in and becomes an instant starter for Manchester City? No, but I feel like he's going to be a good squad player, and for his England hopes, I think it's a big bonus for him, Jack. Yes, he won't start. Right. Yeah, like I guess he won't start, but the star power and the belief to be at Manchester City, someone like Gareth Southgate's gonna look at it. Hey,
but James, City. But let's go there. Like, I mean, who is the lock in that England central midfield, apart from maybe Declan Rice?
Yes.
Who's the lock where you go, they're not getting moved out, baby? I'm just saying, if Kalvin Phillips starts, I don't know, 2 out of 3 games for Man City by October time, I mean, that he's probably a guaranteed starter for Gareth Southgate, I'd imagine. Like, seriously.
Do you know what it is with the Kalvin Phillips deal is that, as I mentioned, he's not going to start ahead of Rodri.
No.
But Manchester City play a lot of games, Jack. And there's going to be a lot of times that Jack, I guarantee he'll probably play about 40, 50 games. And don't be surprised here, really. Don't be surprised with Kalvin Phillips don't be surprised if you see him being inverted into a fullback or something like that. Because that is what Guardiola could do with him. Yes, Jack, to me, I feel like the first things first, he came in to be a midfielder at Manchester City, and that's going to be the first thing. But Guardiola will look at him and be like, can this guy be versatile with me, like the way Fabian Delph was for Manchester City? Fabian Delph was a midfielder,
great comparison.
Yeah, an all-round midfielder, and he came in and sometimes played fullbacks and sometimes played fullback. I won't be surprised if that happens for him. Now, I don't think it's going to be like a Ross Barkley or a Danny Drinkwater type of deal. No. I do see Kalvin Phillips coming in to be making a big impact for Manchester City. Not from the point of view, he's a bona fide starter, but Jack, being a squad player for Manchester City isn't the worst thing ever. Because Jack, let's be truthfully honest, you look at certain players like, at times, I hate to say, a player like Gundogan, you may consider him to be a squad player from the point of view that Gundogan isn't starting every single week, but we appreciate and we know how important Gundogan is into this Manchester City team. 2 years ago, he was, to me, their player like of the year. Last season, he was in and out of the starting lineup, but we know what he came up to do in the biggest game of the season. I know people say the Real Madrid game, but yeah, let's leave that one. We're talking about the game against Villa where he came on, he scored them 2 goals. So being a squad player in Manchester City isn't the worst thing in the world. This to me is the best deal possible for Kalvin Phillips. I don't think he could have picked a better move than going to Manchester City.
He's earned it. He's earned it. I do sincerely believe that. I think a lot of times, players move from out of nowhere and you go, what the hell's happened there? Like I look at, Ferran Torres was one that I remember thinking like, what? He's moved from here to here and now he's moved from here to here. Like, what's this guy actually done? Kalvin Phillips has earned his move. He's earned his move. Another thing, James, I'm going to draw kind of a Manchester comparison here before we transition into talking about Frenkie de Jong here. I get the sense maybe Kalvin Phillips is going to be Pep Guardiola's Park Ji-sung. You know what I mean? These crunch time Champions League games, you need the guy who's going to go the extra mile. Literally, maybe. He's probably going to run an extra mile over the course of the game. He's going to put his body out there. Not to say Rodri doesn't, not to say De Bruyne doesn't, not to say Gundogan doesn't, but you wouldn't say they're the strongest parts of their game. Kalvin Phillips, like you say, is dynamic. He's all action. He's everywhere. He's box to box. He's a ball winner. He's neat and tidy with it. He can carry. He's never going to score a bunch of goals or assist a bunch of goals. He's not super creative, but he's going to do the dirty stuff that needs to be done to potentially win you a Champions League. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you, guys, because they've signed Kalvin Phillips, I'm picking Man City to win the Champions League this year? No, he's not going to be the difference maker there. Somebody like Erling Haaland will make a bigger impact, of course. But these are the kind of things that just chip away as to your value as a squad and just make it all that different. Again, we talk about it. I've just mentioned it. Park Ji-sung at Manchester United. I'm sure there are Manchester United fans going, why is he starting? But when full time goes and you see this guy blowing his lungs out because he's worked so hard for the team and they lift the trophy, you go, that's why.
In Jack, my biggest thing is that Guardiola isn't the biggest fan of, playing with 2 defensive midfielders. He's never been a fan of that.
No.
But don't be surprised in a Champions League away game that you see Rodri and Kalvin Phillips play for that bit of security there to give players like Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Grealish, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva the license to play. Like, Jack, there is a serious place for him in this Manchester City team, and I to me, it's a good signing. The price is crazy, but I listen to people like, oh, they got him on the cheap. Like 42 million is a lot for the guy. But no, Jack, listen.
No, I listen. If you say Twitter, I'm going to be like, oh, well, yeah.
No, Jack, I listen to a lot of talk sports, and we talk about another way. They're talking about Declan Rice being worth 150. Like, just get out of there.
No,
42
guys,
million is to
don't
me.
Listen to Talk Sport. Subscribe to me and James.
Yes. Subscribe to Box to Box Football. That's the main thing. That's the main. If you guys learn anything for today, hit that subscribe button.
But James, I like your point. Is Erling Haaland going to be a false 9? No. So where does the balance of the team go? Well, it usually means that you're going to have a little bit more in there in midfield. So maybe there's going to be a bit more structure to Pep Guardiola football. Who knows? But let's transition to the red side of Manchester now. Completely different player. Frenkie de Jong. I mean, we're talking about the poster child of Erik ten Hag, Ajax football, right? He's going to be dapping up Donny van der Beek. There's going to be this like Dutch renaissance happening here, James, right? I mean, what I'm going to say though, James, is if you're the poster child of a style of football, it's a lot of pressure on a central midfield position for Frenkie de Jong if he's going to come to this team. And my question to you would be, I mean, if it goes wrong with Frenkie de Jong, how much time is Erik ten Hag going to have to fix it? Because he's not managed a game yet. And if the poster child of his style of football doesn't work out, where does he go from there?
Jack, I feel like the one thing I've realised from so far with this whole Erik ten Hag thing and the Frenkie de Jong stuff is that it feels to me that Manchester United are willing to give this guy time. Because they're not signing just Manchester United players here, Jack. I'm seeing them linked to Anthony from Ajax. It seems to be a lot of Erik ten Hag type players. Frenkie de Jong isn't just a Barcelona superstar. He played for Erik ten Hag. Ten Hag knows what he wants. And you mentioned like, oh, what happens? Could he flop? Let's look at who Frenkie de Jong is going to replace. Paul Pogba. Does he have big shoes to fill? Like,
Right.
we're gonna be truthfully honest here. If he does join Manchester United, which to me, with Barcelona's with a lot of things going on with Barcelona, I do think this deal is gonna happen. He doesn't have the biggest shoes to fill, Jack.
No.
Manchester United have been crying out for this consistent quality ball keeping midfielder who can bring the ball forward since Michael Carrick. They've been crying out for that.
Right.
Now, I mentioned the word there, consistent, because we know Paul Pogba can do that, but not on a consistent basis.
Right.
I don't think that Frenkie de Jong comes in and has a lot of pressure there, because there hasn't been a lot to really have there. You know, my thing with Frenkie de Jong is that he comes in and he's going to be the guy that, to me, can take this Manchester United team forward.
Yes.
The Barcelona stuff is probably nicer for him with the Cruyff stuff and all that sort of stuff there. But if he joins Manchester United, Jack, I think that he can take his game to an even higher level. And we can be looking at a guy that, because let's be honest, right now, no one really considers him to be one of the best midfielders in the world. Him joining Manchester United and being like, Jack, Fred ain't gonna take his place. McTominay ain't gonna take his place.
No.
Like, this guy's coming in and going to be the man.
Yes.
So to me, this is a deal that it has to happen. It needs to happen from the point of view of if Eric Ten Hag doesn't get him, I struggle to know where he kind of goes with the midfield.
Look, I tend to agree with you, mate, and I do think that again, this is not going to be a guy where you go, what were his goals and assists? What were his goals and assists? Because no, that's not the kind of guy that's being brought in. This is not a number. If Erling Haaland doesn't score enough goals, or have his chance conversion high enough, right, then there's going to be questions. Frenkie de Jong can have influences on games that goes very, very much under the radar, and then slowly but surely people are going to start taking notice and going, actually, man, he's right knitting together some nice progression here and like bringing the ball out from the back and doing this and that. He's going to be helpful for Donny van der Beek. He's going to take pressure off certain other Manchester United players. I think Scott McTominay is going to have a complete laugh with this guy here as well. So, James, I look at it as a real positive, but I do think that you've got Kalvin Phillips coming in. Does Kalvin Phillips have to make an immediate impact and live up to his price tag? No. Frenkie de Jong, James, comes in under a lot of pressure. Now, I think he can handle it because of the type of guy he is and the character he is, but it's incredible the difference between where these two clubs are at right now.
But I do feel like Manchester United fans kind of are more realistic. It doesn't seem like they're shooting for the hip.
The expectations have dropped, haven't they? This is my first ever preseason where I've seen Manchester United fans finally go, we need to have a good year to make top four. Seriously. And that's, guys, this is Manchester United we're talking about here. These are Manchester United fans, and it's the first time that they've gone. Because, James, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm little teaser here. My top four doesn't, at the moment, have Chelsea or Manchester United in it. It doesn't. And Manchester United fans, you need to, they do, I think, there's a little bit of a, man, we got to do well to beat Arsenal this year. We got to do well to beat Spurs this year. Those other two guys right at the top, forget about them. Like, seriously.
Jack, but another thing I want to talk about tactically, in like, to me, could make a big difference is we've seen the struggles of Bruno Fernandes recently. Right. And to me, the biggest thing with Bruno Fernandes is how cheap he gives possession away, how often he's looking for that killer pass deep in his own half in areas that are not really on. I do believe with a player like Frenkie de Jong and with the ability to retain the ball into play passes that players don't really see. How many times are you going to see de Jong look one way and play a disguised pass into somebody's feet? I think that he's going to bring a better version of Bruno Fernandes out there and a more carefree version of Bruno Fernandes where we don't see these weird notion passes, these overhit passes out of nowhere. I do believe that Frenkie de Jong coming in brings a complete calmness to this whole Manchester United system, overall we can get into Donny van der Beek and how much of an impact he's going to make there. But again, if this happens, it's a game changer for Manchester United in my eyes.
I mean, James, he's he's going to be a new sign, and that's what it's going to feel like, I think, for Donny van de Beek, because the guy was a non-factor last season. So especially under Erik ten Hag, Donny van de Beek is going to feel like a £40 million signing in and of itself.
And Jack, the one thing I'm going to mention here that we always need to look at is a World Cup year coming up, and I don't think that Frenkie de Jong wants to come into a World Cup year being a big part player moving into November time.
No
You
way.
know, and to me, should he be starting at Barcelona? Yeah, but when you have, Jack, let's be truthfully honest, the abundance of riches in midfield at Barcelona is
It's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
You know, they recently just got the signing of Frank Kessié. We know what Sergio Busquets has been to that football team. Gavi, Pedri, Jack,
Right.
the list goes on.
Yeah.
You,
And
you know, and
they know what they're going to try and stick to there. I think that's certainly worth saying. Yeah, look, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Erik ten Hag. And I think, according to all reports, I think James Christian Eriksen has supposedly been offered a contract with Manchester United as well, which is something I think you called from a month ago or so. So to me, there's going to be a total change here, and it'll be interesting to see who gets on board and who gets off. Guys at home, let us know what you think. How big is this gap between Manchester United and Manchester City right now? I mean, seriously, let us know in the comments. Drop a like on the video. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Obviously, we're gearing up towards the World Cup. Guys, the Premier League season is back before you know it, and we will be here with you week in and week out.
always.
Until next time, we'll see you later.